Hey everyone, David Coe at the Coe Real Estate Group. One of the conversations we are having a lot right now with our clients is what's going to happen with the real estate market in 2026. Thought it would be a good time to kind of take a look at what some of the experts out there are projecting and see if we can add some clarity to your crystal ball looking forward to the next 12 months in real estate. So let's start off first with looking at what's happening in the current market. Currently, interest rates have dropped in the last year. Coming into 2024, we were in the high sixes, low sevens. And then, middle of the year this year, when the Fed cut mortgage interest rates dropped down to the low sixes. And we're currently in the 6.3 range as of this morning. And it's been pretty stable for a couple of months, couple basis points here and there, but kind of in the low sixes. That has created some buyer interest surge. Certain buyers that have been looking for a while and kind of waiting for rates to drop. That 6.3 number was enough for them to get out. Which, look, 6.3 is a national average. You can get loans in the high fives right now, and buyers are taking advantage of that. And we have a little bit of market momentum. We did have a surge of listings in the summer months this year, but this little kind of increase in demand has thinned out some of that property, as well as the fact that some sellers have actually taken their homes off the market because they couldn't get the price they were looking to get and decided to try again in 2026 in the spring. So, the market has been relatively steady for the last few months, as have interest rates. What experts are predicting, we've got a mortgage professional, Stephen Glick here. He's actually projecting home prices to grow about 0.5%, which is really just flat market. He's thinking that we are going to be stable to slightly up just based on what some of the current economic conditions are and what he's projecting. Debbie is a real estate expert. She's actually projecting moderate growth as well, less than 4%. And Karen is an industry analyst, and she's actually predicting that any new supply that's going to come up is going to get absorbed by this increase in buyer demand, and really projecting a fairly stable and flat market as well. So what could push the market higher? Well, number one is another decrease in interest rates. As we sit here in the low sixes, I think there's a psychological barrier for rates getting into the fives, even in the high fives. And what a lot of mortgage experts are saying is that if rates get into the mid fives, that's really going to be the number that's going to uncork all this pent up demand. Some estimates show that there's nearly 5 million millennial home buyers sitting on the sideline that want to buy a home that are waiting for rates to drop. Steady employment will also help. Employment's one of those tricky ones. If we get higher unemployment, there's more chances the Fed may cut the rate. But if it's too much unemployment, that could put us into a recession, and that might spook buyers from wanting to make a huge move like buying a house. So keeping employment steady is probably what we would need to see an increase in real estate prices. And then rising construction costs, the tariffs that are in effect have increased supply, the increase of cost of supplies needed to buy a home and build a home. So if those costs keep coming up, prices may get pushed up just because builders need to push that cost onto consumers to cover their cost to build that home. Some factors that could push prices lower, right? If we have some economic headwinds, especially if interest rates go back up into the sevens, man, that would really just kill buyer demand. If there's a surge of inventory, all those markets, all those sellers that have taken their properties off the market, if they all decide to put them back on, or if we have a lot of the older generation baby boomers that decide to downsize, if we have a huge increase in supply, that's always an indicator that prices are going to come down. And if we just have an economic downturn, if we have a recession and it becomes a fairly public recession, real estate's been in a recession for the last 3 years, but if the economy as a whole does start to go into recession, well, that's also going to, kind of give a buyer pause to make a move and wait until the recession is over. And what's the most likely scenario? It's probably the Goldilocks, right? Just stable prices. Right now we do have some fairly stable rates, and inventory seems to be balanced. There seems to be some economic predictability. The market, has survived a lot of chaos this year and seems to be fairly balanced. And there's definitely some regional averaging. Certain parts of the country are doing better than others. Certain segments of a market are doing better than others, but for the most part, the market seems to be pretty balanced right now. So what should you do? Well, number one is you got to assess your readiness. If it is the right time to buy, if you can afford the payment, if your credit score is right, then now is a good time to act. If you are ready to buy and been sitting on the sidelines and you qualify and you can find the right property, chances are the market isn't moving very much in the next year or two. Second thing you do is consult with professionals. If you're looking for a mortgage professional, we have plenty. We would love to refer to you. If you need a real estate professional, we're here. We're ready to consult with you. If you're looking to buy, what areas should you be looking in based off of what you can afford? And if you're a seller, what are some of the things you can do to your home to net a higher price and, more importantly, lower the amount of days on market until you get your property under escrow? And then once you've made those determinations, act with confidence. This is the market. It doesn't look like it's going to move much higher or lower next year, and maybe for even for the next 2 years. So if the time is right and all the situations in your life seem to be aligning, waiting for some radical change in the market, it doesn't seem like it's coming. So if you make a decision, make it with confidence and go ahead and buy or sell that home. So I hope that's been helpful. Again, we would love to consult with you or anyone in your tribe that's thinking about real estate. Please send them our way. We would love to have that conversation. Real estate is our favorite conversation. So David Coe, the Coe Real Estate Group, I hope you're doing well. I hope this finds you well, and I hope to talk to you soon.